Just undo our breakpoints here. And there we go. So now our swipe is working. Welcome back to Arcade. I am Super Tommy, and in this video we're going to look at implementing the logic for a swipe gesture effect. Logic, swipe gesture, just a swipe gesture. So in our previous video, we looked at using a component system for the component pattern. Now we're going to use components in this video to help us do this swipe gesture. So here we have this jellies. So this is like a match 3 thing. So swipes, useful for a lot of things, but of course we use it in match 3 games. So when you, for example, tap on the yellow jelly and then you want to swipe it to the right, you would just do it, right? So this is just classic match 3, whether it's Candy Crush or Bejeweled or what's that, like Gardenscapes, whatever mobile casual match 3 game you've played or don't play. But if you're making something like this, you need a swipe gesture or even some other thing for various swipes. It's just a common mobile pattern. So we're going to go into making a swipe gesture component and use that component and attach it to our game object so that we can handle that swipe. So the exact logic for this swap is more of a match 3 thing. Now we have the code in here, but we're not really going to go into what it does in depth. The main point of this video is to show you how to detect a swipe gesture. So when you tap down, and then to know whether you're doing a vertical or horizontal swipe, and then to decide when enough distance has happened from where you first press down to where you end up to call it a swipe. Now we're doing it in the context of match 3, but the logic is going to be largely the same, or mostly the same, even if you wanted to gesture your swipe gesture for a different thing, be it flipping through pages, whatever it may be. Conceptually the same, just your distance may be bigger and your different parameters will be different than what we have here. So we have this class we call the original swipe gesture component. Now the nice thing about our component system is I can demo you what we're going to do and then just redo it in a different component and go through what we did and then add the component to that game object to make sure that it works. So we're going to ignore this original swipe gesture. That's what's on our jellies right now so that things still work. We have this swipe gesture component here that we're going to fill out. So let me make myself smaller here. So let me go over what we have here. So in our previous video, we looked at components. So do go check out that video before you come here. Otherwise, things may not make as much sense. Although you don't have to use components for this, we just think it's cleaner to do it this way. You can just take the same logic that's largely going to be in, well, we're going to do a couple things for this gesture. So first thing, we're going to know when a pointer is down or your finger is down. So when that happens, we're going to register a pointer down event. Then we're going to register the move and up event. So on down, we're going to register moving up. And then on move is where the bulk, the meat of this logic is going to be, to detect when we've dragged a certain distance and whether vertical or horizontal, to then let you know we've done a vertical drag, a swipe, or a horizontal swipe. And then of course if you let go, you want to cancel that gesture, or it's a finish. It depends on how you want it for your game or app. And then this set location, get location is really more specific to our like match 3 style swipe here, where we want to know for this component which grid area they were in, so that when they do a swipe, it'll be easier for us to handle the swap by just passing information through. Okay. So let's see what we got here. So this is our component, swipe gesture component. And of course, all our components have we need init, which we define here. And then we have an optional awake, optional start, optional destroy, and an optional update. Now you can see in this component, there is only awake and destroy, and we don't have start or update since we don't need it, which is the nice thing about components. And then in our constructor here, we're going to take the row and column of wherever this jelly lives. So like this would be 0, 0, and this would be 2, 2 on a zero-based grid, index grid. So 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Right. So this is 2, 2, 0, 0. This is 0, 2. This is, this is 0, 2, or rather 2, 0, and this is 0, 2. Right. If you want to learn more about this grid setup, we did a similar grid setup in our tic-tac-toe series. You can find that on the Arcade YouTube channel. Just go to our videos, and this is our tic-tac-toe in Calicia. Start here at the multiplayer tic-tac-toe video. Okay, so here we have our component. So let's just start implementing this swipe gesture. So the first thing, like we discussed, we want to register the pointer down. So we have our game object, which is each individual jelly. So when we tap on the jelly, and then we want to know that we've clicked on it. So we want to do this.GameObject.setInteractive. So that's the first thing. I sometimes or very often forget to do this, because you have to set interactive, and then you can listen for these events on the game object. So phaser dot input dot events dot game object. So this is pointer down on pointer down, and then on pointer down we're going to use the handle on down here. So this dot handle on down context this. So when we are on down, so that means we've tapped on it, right? So that means we may be doing a swipe. We want to do this. Well, first let's do it on the game object. Right? You're going to see this is not quite correct, but let's just do it on the game object. So this game object dot on. Want to do move and up. So phaser dot input, just like above, dot events dot game object move, pointer move rather, and then this is going to be handle on move, context this, and then this dot game object dot on phaser dot input events dot game object pointer up, and then we have already here a handle on up. You just got to fill it in. This dot handle on up. Now let's do the easy one first. Handle on up, we want to remove both. So that's just these two lines. And instead of on, we do off. We want to clear that out. Now similarly, for destroy here, we want to do, well, let's just copy the offs here, right? We want to also do off. So for whatever reason, let's just say your component gets destroyed in the middle of a swipe. And it could happen. Time's up in the game and then everything stops, let's say, for example. And then you also want this initial one here, which is game object pointer down, which takes this dot handle on down. Right, so we just make sure we clean up all our stuff on destroy and when we release. Okay, so here is the bulk of our logic here. Now to start, let's just do console.log moving, and let's go to our scene. We're just going to just set this up so that you can see it's working. So instead of using our original swipe gesture, let's just re-get this, our swipe gesture component. Swipe gesture component. Now it takes the same constructor parameters, the row, column, and now this handle swap. So this is the logic for swapping. We're not going to go over this swapping logic since it's not exactly relevant to swipe gesture, but we do have to change this since we're assuming a specific component here. Okay. But if you are interested in how one does this match 3 swap, for example, we can definitely cover that. Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, do hit like and hit subscribe to this Arcade YouTube channel for various videos on making games on the web. So now we have this swipe gesture component, our new swipe gesture component. You'll see that the swipes no longer work, right? I can click, but we see this moving, right? But the swapping no longer works because we are no longer swapping. The move is working. And if we do move and then we click off, right, it doesn't quite do it. So there is a bug here, right? So the up didn't register. You can still see the move. Now, why is that? Now, I briefly mentioned that we're not going to want to do the event, the up and move event on the game object, and then you can also see that move, and then, oh, I'm no longer on the game object and the moving stops, even though I'm definitely moving, right? It's not logging. But if I go back, moving again. So we can adjust that or fix this problem by, instead of registering these move and up events on the game object, which has a defined bounds, right? It's whatever, it's like a square is the size of this jelly. We can do it on our scene instead. So I think this is actually new in Phaser 3.50, is GameObject dot scene. So we can get the scene the game object belongs to. Now let's just do it on, do the ons first, so it's more easier to do or understand. So scene dot events dot on, and what we want now is not GameObject pointer move, and then we want dot scene dot events dot on pointer up. Now let's just change all of those here. Let's just copy this again. Oops. Copy these two lines, and we want to make the off now reflect. We're using the events on the scene and not on the game object. So this is off, but only for move and up. And then over here, right, I'm going to do off. So we're doing this to fix this bug where the events are only firing when our mouse is moving or released while over the game object, which is not quite right, since you can drag way out past this game object or whatnot. Now, if you're doing a swipe gesture on the entire screen, let's say, or the whole scene, you would, of course, do this .gameObject.scene.events.on pointer down on the scene, much like these events here. All right, now we've done that. Now let's just test this. So I click, I move. Oh, did I see I reloaded? Didn't work. Let's see what we did incorrectly here. Let me check my notes for a second. Oh, sorry. This is not events. This is input. Events is for other events. Dot input. This is input. Input. And this is input. And this is input. All right. That's it. Yep, that looks good. Okay. Back here, click, moving, still moving, right? My mouse is past it and it's moving. Now I release and the moving is no longer being called. So this is what we expect. It's good, moving. I've clicked on the yellow guy, moving, up, no longer moving, even if I'm on it, right? This is more like what we want for our swipe. We don't want it to be only within the bound, at least in our case here. Maybe your game does. Now you know the difference. If you want it within the bounds, use the game object. If you don't want it within the bounds, and for the up, you almost certainly don't want it within the bounds. Otherwise, the event will not be removed when you release your finger or your mouse. Okay, so we got through that. Now let's do the logic here for the actual swipe. Let me just check some notes. Okay, so what we want to do is calculate the distance between when we press down and where we are now. And so we are going to use the pointer. So in Phaser, we have a pointer here, which is in that game object, that scene. So in our scene in input, we have active pointer. So this is, if you're on mobile, it'll just be the first touch. If you're on a computer, it'll be the mouse. So for our situation here, it's not multi-touch. This is just single touch. This works great. You may have to do it differently if you're, well, for a swipe, you may never want multi-touch swipe, but you may. It just depends on what you want to do. In most cases, this will be fine for a swipe gesture. So we want to know the difference between down and current. Now, Phaser's active pointer comes with a down X and down Y, which is the value of X and Y when you first click down or tap on the screen. So let's just get delta X, delta Y by doing pointer.down X. And then we want to subtract that by the current X and Y. So pointer.X. And then dy is pointer.down Y minus pointer.Y. So what we have here is the change in X and the change in Y. Now we need both so that we can determine whether we're going vertical or horizontal on our swipe. So to do that, so let's just think through here with the down X, down Y. So if you press down here and let's just say this is, I don't know, 500, 500, and then you go left, let's say, and then, so this is now, let's say 400, 500. So 400 minus, or in case 500 minus 400 is 100. But if we go this way, 500 minus 600 is minus 100. Now you really don't care when you're detecting whether you're going horizontal or vertical, whether it's negative or positive. Because what we're going to do is, as long as the dx distance is greater than the dy distance, we're going to assume we're going horizontal. And in the reverse, if the dy distance is greater than the dx distance, we're going to assume we're going vertical, another one horizontal. So to do that, we're just going to use absolute value of the difference. Let's call this ADX for absolute value of dx, which is going to be math.abs for absolute value dx. And then ADY is absolute value of delta y, or the change in y. So if ADX is greater than ADY, right? So let's just start that. So if horizontal is greater than vertical, then we're going to say we're going horizontal. Now, otherwise, we are going vertical. Now, in our case here, we're also going to check that ADX is greater than 45. So we're saying in our match 3 style swipe here that once we've moved 45 pixels in either direction, whether right or left, this is a swipe, right? And so hence this why ADY here has to be greater than 45. Now your swipe gesture, depending on what you're doing, may be different. You may not even need this, and you may just rely on the up to tell you that a swipe has occurred if this distance is good enough. So you can just modify this for that. But we're going to continue here, assuming that once we've passed 45 pixels left to right, up or down, a swipe has occurred, and we're going to fire this on swap event here, this on swap callback, so that our game can do the swap. So next here, so if dx is less than 0, greater than 0, right, is a horizontal swipe to the left. Right, so let's say this is 500, and we're going to 400. So 500 minus 400 is 100, so it's positive. So this is swipe to left, so this way, from green to yellow. Else, swipe to right. Right, that would be the other way. So it would be dx is minus or less than 0. And in this case, so if dy, this is how we're checking direction, is greater than 0, just say this is now 500, and we go to 400. 500 minus 400 is 100, greater than 0, we're going up. So swipe up, else, swipe down. So we will call this dot on swap. This, and then the direction. So we have direction over here, which we are specifying left, right, up, down, right? Which is lovely. So direction dot, down point only. Direction dot, oh, yes, that's just a type. So that's left. So this is not an enum. We could make this an enum. Maybe we should make this an enum. But nonetheless, we're just going to take left. So this means the direction type can only be equal to string left, string right, string up, or string down. Okay, so that's left. This dot on swap, this right. And then this dot on swap, this up. And this dot on swap down. Okay. Right, we did all that stuff. Save this. Let's see if this works. So, does not work. Okay, so let's debug a little bit, but that is the swipe, unless we missed something. That sounds good. Let's check my notes for a second. Oh, yes. Well, unrelated to that, we do, once we call this swap, I just forgot. I was going to do handle on up because we want to clear out our swiping. We already did it. Now, I doubt that's the reason. Right now. Let's check my notes here. Very good. All right, let's go back to our hello world scene. Now we added this swipe gesture, handle swap. And here it goes there. Okay. Let's do a little debugging when we're adding just code here. Swipe gesture, we can just see what it's doing. So let's do our move, handle move. Let's just make sure our math is correct and I did not do something silly. Okay, click down. So in this case, ADX, so this is absolute value of X is 2 and DX is minus 2, change in X is 2. We did no change in Y, we're dragging this way. So this is ADX is greater than Y, true, and ADX greater than 45, false. Else, if ADY greater than 5, also false. So we do nothing, correct? So that seems okay. So let's put a breakpoint in there, a breakpoint in there. Let's continue. So I think it probably kept my mouse up. Okay, now that's past 45. So ADX is 46, DX is 46. So now we come in here, DX is greater than 0. No, I was dragging this way. Yep, that seems correct. Let's step over. So on swap, let's just step into. So it comes here in our handle swap, where we pass that through here. When we add the component, we do handle swap. Now let's see, get location. Do row, we do a column 0, 0, right, top left 0, 0, that's correct, selected. And so the selected item is this guy. Vector for direction. So direction is going to the right. So the vector should now be x1 and nothing for the y, since it's the right vector. I guess if you're looking at me here, it's this way. Oh no, it still is this way. Okay, so let's go here, go here. Ah, there's no swapping. Ah, right. So let's come here. So we need to make sure that we're only using our new swipe gesture component. And here it is. Just see if we're using original anywhere else. No. All right, let's try that again. Let's just undo our breakpoints here. And there we go. So now our swipe is working. Now let's just say you wanted to make your swipe of a different value here. So now we're doing 45, but let's just say you want to do 100, right? You would just change this here. So it would take 100 pixels. So no swap, no swap, no swap, swap. Just a longer distance to travel before a swap, before the distance is considered a swipe. There it is. So that is the swipe gesture. You got a bonus debugging that can happen when you're writing code. And we figured out what was wrong with our swap implementation when we updated our components. So that's the swipe gesture using the component system or our component pattern in our component service. So definitely check out that video to learn more about using components. Now, if you enjoyed this video, do hit like and hit subscribe for more videos on making games on the web with Phaser 3.50 and other web technologies.